Hello everyone, my name is Erica and welcome to my channel. Today I figured I would do a Commonplace with me video. I'm not new to YouTube, I am new to commonplacing though. I've done a lot of various things on my channel over the years, from talking about going to SCAD and documenting and vlogging my college experience there, to doing tarot readings, and now we're doing commonplacing. And I must say, not to hop right into it, but commonplacing has been so enjoyable for me. It is so relaxing and creatively fulfilling, and it's just such a great little crack in my brain. So yeah, I thought I would do a commonplace page today. I will also say I'm gonna butcher her last name and I apologize in advance, but it was Rhiannon, I think. I could be wrong, she mentioned it in one of her videos, but it was her who got me into commonplacing. So if the kind of style of video is similar, that's probably why. She is kind of the only commonplace YouTuber that I watch, so I apologize if it's too similar. I'm sure as I continue making videos and trying new things, my videos will change a little bit and hopefully not be too similar. I don't want to copy, so yeah, I'll credit if it feels similar, that's why. Today, or right now, I'm just cutting out pages. So I'm pretty active on Tumblr, and I got a question the other day about how I make my commonplace pages and how I do it, and so, well, this is the full thing. I print out articles that are typed, so I just copy and paste them and then remove the links, because articles and kind of longer pieces are things that I know I'm going to want to reference later, and my handwriting is messy, so I would rather have that information typed and be very easily legible for later reference. And then I also print out pictures. I try to be a little conservative sometimes because ink is expensive. I print some just on regular printer paper with an HP NV 5000 that's 5 years old, and I print out things that are relevant to the article. The one I just cut was some trees that the article mentions and references, and then other times it's just pictures I like, things I come across, stuff like that. Usually a lot of art as well, which I think is very common in the commonplace community. And so I just use a 12-inch trimmer to kind of cut those to size. And then working in my commonplace book. Also, I apologize, I didn't look at my screen beforehand, so it's kind of out of frame, and it will be for a lot of the video, but I fix it eventually, and next time I will double check. But then I go in and I draw in a top margin just to give some breathing room on the top, and also try the date is what I've been doing. And then I draw in some margins for myself, 8 squares wide, if you are curious, that I can kind of separate some information. And usually how it works is the printed articles go into larger sections, and I have those measured. I think they're about 3 inches. So then I just go in on Word and make 3-inch columns. That way I know it'll fit. And then I think the margins on the side are 1 inch to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches max. And that provides space for handwriting, any commentary, any facts any reflections, anything that thoughts, feelings, reflections, commentary, if I agree, if I disagree, sometimes it's honestly what I think the article is missing, or what I wish the author would have included. I am a writer. I'm a copywriter for work, and I went to school for writing, and I am a fiction writer, aspiring author. So it's kind of in my blood to analyze writing and how things are written. Yeah. So then I go ahead and I guess I'm trimming this more. I will trim the big columns to size. So I mean, yeah, my journal is not 11 inches long, so I have to kind of hold the article over the page and figure out where I need to cut it. And then I stick it in. I use the tape runner. You'll see it's Creative Memories, which is the same as my 12-inch trimmer. Debatable or not of whether that is an MLM, but my mom sells Creative Memories. If you've never heard of it, it's just scrapbooking supplies, more for like, I don't want to say the boomer generation, but like the in-between boomer and millennial, that generation. They're Creative Memories people, and they scrapbook very traditionally, which is kind of, I think, why commonplacing scratches such an itch in my brain, is because I grew up scrapbooking, and scrapbooking is very, at least to me, is very formal. It feels very permanent, and I scrapbook special occasions, and I scrapbook, you know, important things like graduations. My high school scrapbook from all 4 years I was in high school includes, I even left a note in the front. It's very curated. It's a very curated bunch of images that were my favorite moments over those 4 years and my favorite experiences that I had. And so traditional scrapbooking in that sense feels very formal. It also is a lot more time consuming and expensive. The materials are a lot more expensive. You go through them a lot quicker. Because it's not like you have a journal that you can just stick things in. You have to buy paper to then stick things on the paper, and then you have to buy the pages that go in the scrapbook. And again, I don't do myself any favors because my mom does Creative Memories, so I use a lot of Creative Memories products when scrapbooking, just because that's what's available to me, and they are very high quality. I would recommend Creative Memories products. I really do. They are the best I've tried. Anything I've bought from Michael's, you know, just basic craft stores, I end up throwing away because I prefer the Creative Memory ones so much better. But yeah, commonplacing is a lot more casual. It's a lot more, I don't want to say impermanent, because all of these things I have collected, and I kind of imagine I'm putting them in a time capsule, and maybe 30 years, 50 years, 100 years from now, someone finds it. Or even just my children or my grandchildren, maybe they find it, my nieces, my nephews, maybe they find it, and it's just a bunch of little random things that I was interested in or that caught my eye. And that feels very, very casual, very much more personal, almost like a journal. Not quite. I have a journal. I know some people do journaling and also to-dos and tasks in their Commonplace. My Commonplace is strictly articles, books, movies, that sort of thing. I don't generally... See, this is the part I wish I hadn't cut out, because I'm doing the layout now. I'm trying to figure out where everything goes. And of course it's cut off. But I do move it up eventually, I promise. I have a separate journal for journaling, and I don't have a planner or anything. I work from home, and I do consider myself a minimalist. I have very good memory, so I don't really need a long... I keep my to-do list in Apple iCloud notes, you know. I don't need anything special or serious. And I'm not in school, so I don't need to keep notes and to-dos and calendars very organized. You know, where I work, we have a meeting calendar, and then I don't have very much going on in my personal life, so it's very easy to keep track of. So my Commonplace book is just, it's strictly commonplacing. It's strictly articles I like, videos that caught my eye, pictures that caught my eye, little quotes, little poems, book reviews, movie reviews, that sort of thing. But I do comment on them. So I guess in that way it's a journal, because I'm reflecting on them, but it's not like thoughts and feelings journal. That's separate. Which, if you would like a video on all my journals and how I do that, let me know. Let me know here or on Tumblr. I'll link my Tumblr down below, which, if you want to see more commonplace spreads, that's where I do most of my commonplacing and kind of got started. So Meg and Rhiannon got recommended to me randomly on YouTube one night after I had flown home from Idaho. I live on the East Coast and my boyfriend lives in Idaho. And every time I fly back, that's a 3-hour time change, and coming back is a lot harder than going there. So it was one of those nights where I had just recently flown home and it's 3 a.m. and I should be asleep, but my body is wide awake. And it was randomly recommended to me, and I find her videos so relaxing, and for like 2 weeks straight I did nothing but watch them and doodle and draw, because it was when she was working on her ghost gloomies. And then slowly over time I was like, I should try this sounds fun. So I made a Commonplace page, and I did it totally for myself. I had no intentions of making videos or really posting them online or anything, but I was like, hey, let me try. And I posted it online because it's something that I'm genuinely interested in, and this is something that genuinely feels, again, so relaxing, and just, it feels right. I don't know how else to describe it other than it slips so easily into my daily life. I don't commonplace every day. I commonplace mostly on weekends. I collect things during the week, and then I commonplace at. I filmed this before Halloween, which is why there's a pumpkin. But it feels right. It just feels so nice. And it feels like I discovered exactly, I don't know, I guess it's from watching Megan's Great Year of Experimentation. And then I follow quite a bit of commonplacers on Instagram, and seeing all of their layouts and how different people commonplace and scrapbook and how they do their things really made me, again, very quickly realize what I wanted and what I liked. So I feel like my style of commonplacing came very easily, like this whole margin setup and using typed things and then using colored pencils to highlight and underline and stuff like that. That came so naturally to me, came very easily. And so I posted it online on Tumblr, and it blew up. It was like one of my top posts that I've ever posted. What? Like, I was so confused. And so I was like, okay, I guess people like this. So I kept posting more. And every time I post a Commonplace page, it does extremely well. People seem to like it. I've literally never gotten asks on Tumblr before. I've been on Tumblr for like 10 years, like since it came out. And I don't really get asks that often, every once in a while, but I like consistently get them now, which is so weird to me and very interesting and fun. So I just feel like I found a community that is so welcoming and warm. I'm also very into spirituality, different kinds of spirituality, new age, a little bit of witchcraft, a little bit of this and that here and there. And those communities can be extremely polarizing, not very welcoming, very critical, and everything like that. So the Commonplace community has been overwhelmingly warm, and everyone's just so curious. They're like, how do you do this? And how do you personally do that? And so it's been really nice to be a part of. So thank you if you've asked me on Tumblr, or thank you to all the people that I have followed. I'll link some of my favorite people to follow in the description below. And yeah, it's just been really fun. Very, very fun for me. It's just that historical scratch in my brain where like 50 to 100 to 200 years from now, maybe someone finds this, and it's sort of documentation. And I think I'm not a history nerd or buff in any way, but I think I am one of those humans that loves the idea or loves the fact that we are so desperate to leave a piece of ourselves on this planet before we go. And we want to make our mark, and we want to make history, and even if it's something so small and insignificant, you never know what in the future people will be wanting to know. I feel like, again, in the world of spirituality, all of those ancient cultures had such rich and beautiful history that now people are trying to recreate or take inspiration from, and we have little to no resources on it because no one wrote anything down. It was all oral. And there's something so special about that too, about just simply being an oral tradition. But there's also something really beautiful about collecting that information and making sure that it is somewhere for people to reach and find in the future. kind of making archives and documenting that we as humans existed and we were here. And that doesn't have to be just me. It doesn't have to be all about me, but it can be about humanity as a whole. Like just today, again, I filmed this maybe a couple weeks ago, and just recently Kim Kardashian came out with that dare I say stupid nipple bra, and I care a lot about the environment, and so like those cultural things that happen, those are well documented, and I like that they're documented. And so I also like doing things like this page is about the Scottish Mountain Birch Project, which again was randomly recommended to me on YouTube, but was so cool and so fascinating. I'll link the video down below as well. I'm gonna have to link a lot of things, wow. But like just the idea and just documenting the fact that like this team of one guy, like one or two people, is trying to rewild and reestablish an entire ecosystem in Scotland is just amazing to me, and like that deserves to be documented. And it was something that caught my eye. I don't know who told me this or where I heard this, but a very long time ago I heard something along the lines of, if a street performer or if someone on the street makes you stop or makes you smile, you should hand them $1, even if it's all you have. They deserve $1 because they made you stop. And so I've kind of taken that into commonplacing as well. Anything that makes me pause, that makes me hesitate, that interests me in any way, shape, or form, it deserves to go down in my commonplace because it made me feel something. It made me curious. It made me react in some type of way. And that has made me feel a lot more connected to the things I'm reading and seeing online. It's not just in a vacuum anymore. It's not just to waste time anymore. It's really helped me encourage myself to interact with my hobbies more, to learn more about my interests, to document, to reflect, to interact, and to truly connect with these interests and with these hobbies and with these things that I'm learning about. And then I find myself talking about them to my friends and family more often too. So commonplacing has been really great. It scratches my history itch. It makes me feel a lot more connected to the things I'm reading and the things I'm doing. Sorry if you can hear noise. My neighbors upstairs are very loud. Very, very loud. But yeah, it's just been a beautiful thing to participate in. It scratches that little itch in my brain that wants to scrapbook. It's just perfect. And then I get to write, I get to reflect, I get to think. So yeah, if you haven't tried commonplacing, a 10 out of 10 recommend it. If you cannot tell, I've been commonplacing now for about 3 months. This is my 3rd month commonplacing, and I wish I had started sooner. This is like, you know, that cliche where people are like, in any kind of hobby or interest or activity or section of knowledge, industry, blah, blah, blah. People's number one advice is always like, or regret is like, why didn't I start sooner? This is the first time I've felt that. You know, I've always been a writer, always. I have been writing fiction since 5th grade. It was something that always came natural to me. So it's not like I can regret not starting that sooner. But like, this is the first hobby that I'm like, damn, why did I not try this sooner? This is so fun. This is so creative. This is so everything. Here you can see what I was talking about, where I use colored pencils to underline and highlight. It just adds like a very subtle pop of color, and kind of ties the spread together. There have been other hobbies that I've done, like sewing, for example. I do sew some, and I do appreciate the knowledge of sewing, and I think that's another thing that we as a society have forgotten about and forgotten how to do. A lot of self-sufficient things like baking bread and sewing, and I think that has really made me appreciate and realize the skill it takes to make clothes, and that's why we should, you know, not be afraid to pay more for them and pay people to make them properly. I'm not going to get too into that, I promise, but sewing is one of those things where like it's made me realize, wow, I will do this if there's something I really want. but I don't want to do this every day. This is like, it's not for me, but it's not for me. It's not what I'm totally passionate about. I could not do it every day, all day, and be super happy and feel very fulfilled. I find it very frustrating most of the time. So I don't necessarily enjoy and love it, but I love commonplacing. I could do this all day. Like I said, ironically or unironically, I'm recording this voiceover the day after I got back from Arizona. So I'm 2 hours behind, and my flight didn't get in until 3 a.m. because it was super delayed, and then I didn't get home and to eat and to sleep until like 4 a.m. And so I decided to not work today because I have the luxury of doing that, which I'm grateful for. So what did I do all day? I commonplaced. I wrote stuff down, and I did it just for me. I don't plan on recording every time I do a commonplace spread. Maybe one day, but also it's one of those things where, I do a lot of commonplacing at night and in the evening. So if I want to commonplace for a video, I have to plan to do it during the day, and specifically when the lighting in my room is good. I do have a ring light, but I'm not sure about that. This was also recorded on my iPhone, and that took a lot of time and effort to figure out how to get it onto my computer because the file size was so big and I don't have iCloud storage. So that was fun. So yeah, it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to mentally prepare if I want to record something. And today I was tired and I just wanted to participate in a hobby that makes me feel relaxed. So that's what I did. I commonplaced, I interacted with the text, I found more sources about the same topic that I'm going to add. I printed out some more pictures, did some more things, and that's what I did today. So now I am just writing in the book. You'll have to let me know about the length of this video, and if you like that, if it's long, if you want me to talk about anything, if you have any questions, blah, 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 please leave comments. But I don't really know, like, am I supposed to talk about what I'm writing? I guess I really haven't talked about the page, but, so like I said, this is about the Scottish Mountain Birch Project, and the biggest key takeaway from this, the fact that just baffles me, is that ecologists and environmentalists say that Scotland used to look like southern Norway in terms of forestry. What? That's insane to me, because I've only ever known Scotland as what it is, kind of mountains and fields that don't have very much going on, with lots of trees here and there. But like, that's not how it was. That's insane to me. It used to be very lush, and that kind of plays into the fact that, one of my favorite TV shows when I was a teenager and in college was Reign, which is about Mary, Queen of Scots. And, there's also, I think, I could be wrong, but I think Outlander is supposed to be placed in Scotland. And I've seen some of that show. And those are supposed to be historical timepieces, and they're displaying Scotland in history to look the way it does now, which apparently is not accurate. They talk about in this article and in the video about how most of it is due to livestock grazing, which makes sense because people needed to survive back then. So we're not mad at anybody, right? Humans, we're freaking chaotic. And so it talks about why it doesn't look the same anymore and what they're doing to hopefully get it back. I know they've tried. There's also a book, if you're interested in it. Please look up the trigger warnings first, but there's a book. It's called Once There Were Wolves. And that is also about rewilding Scotland by introducing wolves. That is supposedly what the book is about. I would argue that it's actually much more about relationships. So look at the trigger warnings if you need to, if that sounds interesting to you. And it's just wild how landscapes change over time, and how slowly it happens, and also how fast it happens, and how we currently in modern days perceive the past to look a certain way, and we could be completely freaking wrong. Like, again, all these shows, they display Scotland as always having looked the way it does, and maybe they never explicitly say that or claim that, but that's the feeling it gives off in all those historical videos and documentaries and TV shows and blah blah blah, fiction or non-fiction. But I guess it didn't look that way, and that's just baffling to me. And I think that's basically what I'm reflecting on in the margins. I'm also writing down my sources. I try and do MLA when possible, if I have the energy that day to figure out how to do that correctly. But I do try and source all of my images and articles, write down everything, because I think that's important. We can't just take information and not tell people where to find it later, because you never know, something might interest someone who's watching it or who comes across it on Instagram or Pinterest or Tumblr or wherever and want to learn more and not know where to find it. But also I think that's another thing that history has a problem with, is not everyone wrote their name down, and not everyone wrote down where they found things, and so things get miscredited a lot of the times, or that we just don't know. And so I think it's important to give credit where credit is due, and to make sure artists, modern or ancient, that I am putting down in my Commonplace get the credit where credit is due, because that's important. Again, not that I know for a fact someone in 50 years to 100 to 200 to 300 years is going to find this and care. But if it survives that long and someone finds it and wants to learn more and still somehow has access to the wildness that is the internet, they will be able to find all these things. And there's documentation that it existed. So I think I'm going to stop talking now, drink some water. If you haven't drank some water today, you should drink some water. And I'm just gonna sign off here. I hope you guys have an absolutely lovely, lovely day, because you 100% deserve it. And I will see you at the next video.